Okay, so we are back for another episode of Lock It or Leave It. Another special guest. We're knocking them out of the park this year. It's actually ridiculous. And we have a very special guest. He got the Seminoles our first win of the season this year. Ryan Fitzgerald knocked down the guy with the ice in his veins. He knew he was going to hit it before it even went in. Don't go anywhere. When you get back, you'll be hearing from our starting kicker at Florida State University. Okay, so we are back, and as usual, I'm your host Jay, and joining me is my co-host Cam. Cam, how you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm great. Almost Friday, almost back to the weekend. No tailgate this weekend because we got an away game, but we're still gonna get after it this weekend regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron has the Tampa Bay Rays jersey on because they play tonight at 8. Aaron, how are you doing, man?
Doing great. Really excited for this playoffs. It's Troptober, so I'm very fired up for that. Grinding out my homework today, so I can watch the boys play tonight. We got FSU soccer tonight as well. FSU football Saturday, so a lot of big events going on this weekend. Finishing all my homework so I can fully immerse myself in the culture, and really excited to see what happens.
Absolutely. We have an away game, like you said, and last but not least, our special guest, Ryan Fitzgerald, the man who hit the winning field goal. Ryan, how are you doing? Thanks for coming on this weekend.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, if you just want to start this off, Aaron, let's get into it.
So Ryan, before we get into your time at Florida State, I want to start off by talking about your high school career a little bit. You're a five-star kicker on Coles kicking. You're number 12 kicking prospect in the nation. You have a lot of Georgia high school state records. You were first team All-American in Max Preps your senior year, and you were getting big time offers from schools like Baylor, Air Force, Army, and a bunch of others. But you chose to come to Florida State to continue your football career. What factors led you to becoming a Knoll?
Yeah, I mean, I live an hour up the road in a little town called Coolidge, Georgia. It has one red light, but yeah, I thought it'd be nice. I mean, obviously only an hour away from home, and then having a full scholarship here. I mean, I couldn't turn it down.
Yeah, so one of our former guests, Roberto Aguayo, good friend of the podcast and arguably the greatest kicker in college football history, has just started the Rocket Kicking Academy. Have you been able to partake in this at all? And how has this helped your game? And how is this also going to impact future kickers that come after you?
Yeah, so just a little flashback. I mean, I was a freshman Ricky's senior year, and so got really close with Ricky. And then this past off season, I went up to Birmingham multiple times and trained with Roberto and Ricky and some of those guys that are in the league and everything. And it was a great experience for me just to be around those guys that perform at such a high level and everything. And I think it's awesome that Roberto's starting that kicking academy, and I think he had his first camp a few weeks back in Tallahassee, and I heard it went well. But yeah, I mean his experience. I mean obviously Luke Rosa winner, I think the highest percentage of field goals in college football history. I mean I don't know who wouldn't want to train with somebody who's been at the highest of levels.
Yeah, one of my favorite stats about Roberto is there's only two Seminoles who made 3-time first team All American. It's him and Deion Sanders. So to be in that list is absolutely crazy, man.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
anytime you're in the same breath as prime time, you're doing something right. But some of the other notable Florida State kickers that have come through the school include Dustin Hopkins, Graham Gano, Sebastian Janowski, and obviously Ricky Aguayo. We saw similar to you that Dustin had a similar game winner recently to beat the Giants at the end of regulation. How does it feel to be listed in the same pedigree of all those great legends at Florida State and to continue their legacy?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, a lot of people say this is kicker you, and obviously it is when you have out of 4 or 5 guys that have been in the league. And I think last year we had like 5 kickers in the league at the same time, which is insane. If you think about only 32 teams and 5 of which all came and played here at Florida State. But yeah, I mean, it's like a fraternity of brothers that I'm blessed to be a part of, and their experiences. I've talked to Graham Gano some. He texts me after the game, and it's awesome to be able to have that relationship with those guys and to be able to learn from that and learn from their experiences.
Now, we can't have you on without talking a little bit about the Notre Dame game. So, to set the stage for our listeners, big time game, night game, Memorial Day. It's the only game on ESPN. We're facing number 8 Notre Dame, who was in the playoffs last year. Can you take us through the atmosphere during kickoff at Doak? Because we were there. We're all sitting together. Chief Osceola rode out. He planted the spear, sold out crowd. Everyone's going wild. We got the flyover. It was crazy from the stands, but it must have been even crazier down on the field.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it was my first game that I played in with a full crowd. Last year was my first year starting, but obviously with COVID, it wasn't a full crowd. But to actually experience that and play in that environment, it was crazy. And I experienced the highest of highs from hitting a game tying field goal, to send it OT and then missing a field goal in OT to the lowest of lows. So it was, obviously it wasn't how I wanted it, but it was a great learning experience. Experiencing both levels of emotions and everything like that. It was a roller coaster, but it's one of those where it's a great experience to learn from and grow.
Yeah, so talking about last year, one of the COVID seasons, my favorite game from last year was against Chapel Hill. I'm from North Carolina personally, so I have a ton of friends who attend that school. And to throw salt on the wound, Sam Howell decommitted from FSU in order to join the Tar Heels. And the announcers even mentioned how our students were heckling Sam Howell right behind the stands, saying, "Yo, you made the wrong decision." But getting back to you, you went 4 for 4 on extra point attempts while also adding a 24-yard field goal and a 31-28 win at home. What do you remember from that game? Because the atmosphere in that one was also rocking.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game against a top five team at the time, and it really gave our team confidence and really just another building stone into our process and our climb. So it's going to be exciting this weekend going into their place, and it's obviously going to be probably going to be packed out. I mean, with no more COVID restrictions on crowd limits and all that, so it'll be fun. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them heckling us, but that's how it is on the road, and it'll be a fun environment.
Yeah, we had Malik on recently, and he said he loves playing on the road. He loves being the villain. He likes taking that role on. But going back to you a little bit, Parents Weekend was last week, which is personally my favorite week of the year. Hot moms are everywhere. Parents are splurging money on tables, the whole 9 yards, and may have even seen your boy do a belly flop in the recess pool. It was that kind of weekend. But to make it even better, we hosted Syracuse, and after 59 minutes and 59 seconds into the game, it was all tied up. And I read on wardchant.com, shout out to them for writing this piece, that Coach Norvell went up to you and told you, "Trust what you do," and you responded, "I got this." Even our tight end, Cam McDonald, commented on your IG post saying, "He told me he was going to make it before the drive even happened." So you clearly embody the character of a winner and confident kicker. How did it feel to know that not only our coach, but also your teammates had the utmost trust in you to send the Syracuse packing back to New York?
Yeah, it's great having the confidence in your teammates and all that. I mean, we try to, as a specialist, obviously, it's hard to be like I mean, not a good teammate, but like they look over and you're not all the time doing like, you can't kick every day, all day at practice, and so it's hard sometimes to build that relationship to where they think you work hard and everything. But I'm blessed to have great teammates that really trust us, the specialist group, and our process and our grind and everything. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy. After halftime, we were winning by 3, and I kind of thought in my mind, I kind of already had it played out about how it was going to go. And I kind of told a couple of my teammates on the sideline, and I think a couple of equipment guys was like, "Hey, this is going to come down. The game's going to be tied. They're going to kick a field goal. The game's going to be tied, and it's going to come down to a game like field goal. And I'm going to make it. We're all going to have a great night after." But and it's funny that it played out like that. And yeah, it just goes to show like how important like mental preparation is for every moment.
I just feel like as a kicker, like, I played football in high school, so it's like a kicker and offensive line are like the least. You only get criticized if you don't do your job. Like, it's the least rewarding job because like they expect you to be perfect every single time, and like you only get criticized if you mess up, not if like you do your job the way you're supposed to. So I feel like confidence in your team really like makes you be better at your position, and especially with how critical kicking is in today's league.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of look at it, as kickers, as you're either the hero or the zero. If you kick a game winner, the hero, but if you miss, you're nothing. And so it's just how it is in this position, and kickers just have to understand that, and it's just a part of it. And at the end of the day, whatever a 40-year-old says on Twitter doesn't really, affect, my job. I mean, obviously they'd love to be in my position, so
So another good friend of the podcast, our boy Lawrence Toafili. He's a Largo boy from the 727. Shout out to him. He's a big part of our team this year in a stacked running back room with other guys like Jay Sean Corbin, Trayshawn Ward, and DJ Williams. We've got a lot of big names there. Can you talk about the intensity for our practices at each position and kind of the day-to-day activities that a lot of normal fans don't get to see behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing but a lot of hard work and intent and focus. I mean, it's we get there in the morning. I woke up at 6 this morning, and meetings to walkthroughs to practice. It's nothing but focus and intent and purpose. I mean, our running backs group is insane. I mean, Trayshawn Ward, for example, I came in with him. He was a PWO running back coming in, and he's done nothing but work since he's got here. I mean, it's insane, the dude's mindset and his work ethic and everything. I mean, it's not surprising the season he's having so far.
So, could you touch on what you do on a day-to-day basis? Because you kind of touched on how you're not always kicking because it's just repetitive. So, what do you do at practice other than kicking that can help you in your game?
A lot of mental work, So I only hit about probably 20 to 40 balls on days that I kick during the week just to keep my legs fresh. I mean, kind of compare it to like a pitcher. They can't pitch 50 balls every day to be fresh on game day to still throw 90 miles an hour. So yeah, a lot of mental preparation. I mean, even with our snapper and holder, they'll still snap it, and I just kind of, I get my stance and I will see the snap come down and just in my head play it out and go on different spots in the field if there's an open field during practice maybe, and just do my steps and get my stance, and then envision the snap and the hold, and then go do a dry swing without a ball, and just envision the ball going through the uprights.
Yeah, so being a kicker, we have to ask this question. 2 weeks ago, we saw possibly the greatest kick in NFL history. The Ravens, who were heavy betting favorites, traveled to Detroit, and the game unexpectedly came down to Justin Tucker having to make a 66-yard field goal to walk it off. We were all watching the game together on Sunday, and the simultaneous groans and cheers were hilarious to kind of think back on in hindsight. Tucker doinked it off the crossbar, and it bounced in instead of out. And that was not the first time you've seen late game heroics by him. So in your opinion, who is the greatest NFL kicker of all time?
Of all time, I'm not really sure I have enough knowledge to say all time, but obviously, with my generation at least, it's definitely Justin Tucker. I mean, just it's insane. His leg strength and his explosiveness and his accuracy combined it's really it's cool to watch for sure.
Can you touch on how hard it is for people that don't watch football every day? Can you try to explain how hard a 66-yard field goal actually is?
Yeah, I mean, well, to put it in perspective, in his environment, which he kicked it in, most of the prior longest field goals in NFL history were kicked at Denver, the Broncos Stadium, where the altitude is high, and the ball travels further because of that. Well, he kicked it, inside, no wind helping at all, and not much altitude, so it makes it even harder. I mean, from 66 yards away, I mean, you think I'm not really that big of like a angles guy or whatever you want to call it. But from 66 yards, I mean, if it's just a little bit off, that's a long way to go to be straight and to make it. And for him to hit it right down the middle it's pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of talking about the duality of man. We saw Tucker hit the doink and it went in. And then the Patriots game against the Bucks, we saw Nick Folk go up and try to make a 58-yarder. And that one doinked and went off. So talking about the hero to zero kind of played exactly into that. But we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we will do the lightning round with Ryan Fitzgerald. You guys will love this. Don't go anywhere.
So as you guys know, it's time for the lightning round here at the end of the episode. Tampa Bay Lightning, I think they play tonight, but that's not important because the Tampa Bay Rays play tonight. And that's a big deal. If you're watching this, you'll see I got my Rays jersey on. I'm ready to ride. But we're still going to do the lightning round, even though it's the Rays day. So question number one, you got the Rams or the Seahawks tonight on Thursday Night Football?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with the Rams.
This one's a little out of left field. Which player on the football team would you not let date your sister? I don't know if you have one, but if you had one, who do you not want dating your sister on the football team?
Alex Mastromano.
That was quick. Can you give us a reason why?
No, it wasn't that quick. I don't know. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Who is the funniest guy on the football team?
Oh, the funniest. Oh, that's tough. A lot of those guys are really funny. Probably DJ Daniels, maybe. I don't know. There's so many of them that are pretty funny. But yeah, probably DJ. I mean, Alex is pretty funny too.
If you weren't a kicker, what position would you be?
I wouldn't play football. I'm not athletic. I wouldn't play anything else.
Okay, but what if you could play any other position? What would you want to do?
I mean, probably quarterback. Yeah.
I feel like
And
that's what
then
most
last-
kickers and punters would say. They're just waiting for the fake field goal, fake
Yeah,
punt.
who doesn't want to throw? Who doesn't want to throw the fake punt?
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those where you did a fake punt, you threw a dime to somebody for the first?
Maybe in high school.
In high school, we ran a lot of fakes in practice and stuff, and I was pretty good at it. We had a fake punt where I threw it, and I completed most of them, but we never ran it in high school. There was a fake field goal in high school where I shifted out to the slot, had a post route, and I was not the target wide receiver. Our quarterback just got a concussion the previous play, which he found out later. But I went down, I was double covered, and I look back and I just see the ball coming my way. I'm like, oh my God, no way. And I'm like running to the end zone. I'm like, holy crap. And the ball comes and it was a little bit overthrown, but it was close to being a touchdown.
Did you touch it? Did you touch it?
Oh, I was too slow.
Oh, okay.
And then lastly, we play UF during Thanksgiving weekend. So what are your top 3 Thanksgiving go-to foods that you like to eat?
Stuffing, pecan pie, and probably turkey.
Gotta be Georgia answers for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so that will conclude the interview. Let's start these sign-offs. Cam, thank you for coming on, man. How are you doing?
I'm great. Seahawks plus 2.5 tonight. Lock it up.
I mean, last week you were right. You gave us the anytime touchdown for Aaron Jones. That one hit expeditiously. Aaron, how are you doing? Thank you.
Keep it short and sweet like Cam. He's been money on his props. Listen to him. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on, and let's have a big weekend.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, like I said earlier, our special guest, Ryan Fitzgerald, just coming off the game-winning field goal. We don't host. UNC hosts us this weekend as we go and travel to North Carolina in a big game. We'll be watching that game, rooting for you guys so much as FSU students and fans. Thank you again for coming on, man. It was huge.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me. Go Noles.
Absolutely. So, like Cam said, put that bet down. We will see y'all later. The weekend is coming up, so sheesh, it's going to be a good one. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.